the first thing that you will need is your yarn, and I recommend using 100% cotton. Because this is a drink cozy, the cotton yarn really keeps all the sweat from the drink inside and it doesn't get on your hand. And you will need worsted weight yarn, approximately 64 yards, and that will vary a little bit, and I'll explain why in a minute. But this is my favorite yarn to use. This is We Crochet Dishy. This is one of my absolute favorite 100% cottons. It is so soft, and yet it is so durable, and it works really well for cozies. For cozies, I really love the look of striping every other round. So I'm using two colors today. First the linen and then the swan. And of course, you don't have to do this stripe pattern. You can do any type of pattern that you like. You can make this all solid. You can stripe every other round like I did, or you can do color blocks, or even if you have really small amounts of cotton yarn that you want to use up, you can just add all of those in too. So this is a really great stash busting project because it doesn't use a lot of yarn, and you can really change up the stripes depending on the yarn that you have. And the written pattern will be linked down below. It is free on my blog, or you can get the PDF version in my Etsy shop. You will also need a G crochet hook, which is the 4.0 millimeter, a tapestry needle, and some scissors. Now, before we get into the pattern, I do want to talk a little bit about sizing. So for this specific pattern, I wrote it for this mason jar size, which is a pretty standard iced coffee size, I feel like. If you do not have this size of jar, or if you prefer drinking your iced coffee out of something else, you can definitely adapt the pattern to the jar size that you have, and I am going to show you how to do that in this tutorial. And I do recommend having the jar next to you as you are crocheting, so then you can kind of base off the size of your cozy off of the jar. Alrighty, I think I covered everything that we need to, so let's get into the tutorial. So first I'm going to take my main color, and this linen is going to be my main color, and the swan is going to be my contrasting color. So you want to start by making a magic circle. So have that tail in front of you, wrap that around your fingers, and I do have a video on how to make a magic circle, which I will have linked below if you need a more step-by-step on how to do that. Okay, and chain 1, and then you will want to work 9 half double crochets into that circle. I have 9 half double crochets, so now I'm going to pull on that tail to tighten it like that, and then in that first stitch, which is right here, I'm going to join the circle, so work 1 slip stitch into that first stitch to close that circle. There you go. So now to begin round 2, chain 1, and in that first stitch work 2 half double crochets and work 2 half double crochets in all of the stitches around. And right now we are working on the base of the cozy, so the part that goes on the bottom of the jar. Now I'm at the end of round 2. You should have 18 half double crochets now, and you're going to do the same thing. So slip stitch into that first stitch and then chain 1. And for round 3, we are going to work 1 half double crochet into that first stitch and then 2 half double crochets into that next stitch. And you're going to continue repeating 1 half double crochet in one stitch and 2 half double crochets in the next stitch all the way around. Okay, now I'm at the end of round 3. I'm going to slip stitch into that first stitch and chain 1. And for round 4, work 1 half double crochet into those first 2 stitches. So I have the first double crochet, and then in the next stitch, work 1 half double crochet, and then in that third stitch, work 2 half double crochets into that same stitch. So you're going to repeat working 1 half double crochet into 2 stitches and then 2 half double crochets into that next stitch all the way around. So now I'm at the end of round 4, and after this round you should have 36 stitches, and I'm going to finish off this round by slip stitching into that first stitch, and this is where we're going to stop for the base. And this is where you want to use your jar as a guide, because you want to be able to put this on the bottom, and you can see that it just fits really well. And once we work the rounds up, then that'll pull that in really well. So you want it to not be too small, but you also don't want it to be really big either. You want it to just cover the base. And especially if there's a curve, it is okay if it is a little bit smaller because of the curve there. So that is how you will know when to stop working the base. So now we're going to work the sides of the cozy. So we're going to chain 1, and in every stitch around, we are going to work 1 herringbone half double crochet. So how to do this is yarn over, insert your hook into the stitch, yarn over, pull back through that stitch and that next loop on your hook, and you should have 2 loops on your hook, and yarn over and pull through those 2 loops. And that is how you crochet a herringbone half double crochet. So again, yarn over, insert your hook into that stitch, yarn over, pull back through that stitch and that next loop on your hook, yarn over, pull through those last 2. So you're going to continue repeating that all the way around. If you need more help on how to do a herringbone half double crochet, I do have a specific stitch tutorial on how to do that stitch, and I will have that linked down below. Okay, so I'm at the end of round 5. So I'm going to insert my hook into that next stitch, and this is where we are going to attach our contrasting color if you are doing the stripes along the sides of the cozy. So I have my yarn inserted, and this is where I'm going to create a loop with my contrasting color. So then it hooks onto the hook, and then I'm going to pull through that stitch and that loop on my hook, and I'm going to take the tail from the main color and I'm going to pull that tight, and then I'm going to pull on the contrasting tail as well, just to pull that tight so then we don't have a big tail there. So now I'm going to take my contrasting color, chain 1, and as you do this you can continue to pull tight on those, and we're not cutting off for each color change because we will be carrying the yarn, and that minimizes a lot of the ends that we have to weave in. So right now I am working 1 herringbone half double crochet into every stitch around, so the exact same thing as the previous round. Okay, so I'm at the end of round 6. So now I'm going to insert my yarn into that first stitch, and I'm going to lay this contrasting color aside and pick up my main color, which is right here. And so now I'm no longer working with this color on this next round. I will be working with my main color. So I'm going to use that yarn to create that slip stitch, and then I'm going to pull this tight over here, and then I'm going to chain 1 and work 1 herringbone half double crochet into every stitch. So this is the exact same thing as we've done the previous 2 rounds, and you're going to want to continue working rounds until you have reached your desired length on your jar. So for example, I'm going to continue working rounds. You can see it kind of comes in until right about here, and then I'm going to do my last round after I've come to about here with the herringbone half double crochet rounds, and that's about a total of 19 rounds, which that also includes the base. So you can use your jar as a reference to see how many rounds you need around the sides until you cover up however much you would like to on the jar. Okay, so I'm at the end of round 19, and this is what it should look like. You should have finished off on the main color, and I already cut the contrasting color, so we don't have to worry about that anymore because we will be using the main color for the rest of the cozy. So I'm going to finish off that round and then chain 1, and we're going to work 1 single crochet in every stitch all the way around. And the purpose of the single crochet round at the very top of the cozy is it kind of helps cinch in the cozy so then the top isn't super loose. It does help a little bit if your tension is a little bit tighter for these single crochets, and it doesn't hurt because it will loosen up over time. The more you use the cozy, the more it will stretch, and so this just prevents the cozy from overly stretching. So now I'm at the end of this round, so now I'm going to slip stitch into that stitch, and you can go ahead and cut your yarn here. There we go. And now you can pull that through. So now you are done with your cozy, so you can weave in all of the ends that you have using your tapestry needle. And I hope you enjoy this tutorial. It is a super easy, quick crochet project that does not take a lot of yarn, that is super helpful and useful for all of your iced coffees or desired beverage. So I hope you enjoy this tutorial, and again, the free written pattern is linked down below if you would like to reference that pattern, as well as I have a whole bunch of other free patterns on my blog. Thanks for watching, and I hope you found this helpful.